Hi, I'm Kat, marketer turned brand storyteller.
And I'm Candice, educator turned entrepreneur.
And you're listening to
Not Nice, Clever.
We're two introverts who speak on stages around the country and work with top personal brands who also unapologetically require 24 to 48 hours of recovery time on the couch in our favorite sweats. All Netflix and no chill.
And to be clear, we're not quiet or nice. Together, we're redefining what it means to be an introvert who means business. It's time to show up and show off. Are you in? In today's mini episode of Not Nice Clever, we're talking about how to manage your time. Kat and I are huge fans of using time blocking and really being intentional with using our time each day. And I know Kat had an experience recently where she was talking to a group of people about this. So we thought it would be a conversation to bring onto the podcast and to our clever crew.
Yes. So we know as entrepreneurs, we're the engines that power our businesses. And if our energy is down, if our time is unaccounted for, it costs us money. It costs us sanity. It just costs us, period, with no ROI. So a couple things that came up in this office hours that I was hosting. First thing is, in order for every day to feel successful, to feel productive, right? Because there's that saying that often we overestimate what we can do in a day, but underestimate what we can accomplish in a week or in a month. And so, in order to understand what will make today feel like a success, you can have and use what I like to use too. It's called a done list. It's not a to-do list, it's a done list, meaning that when it's done, when you've knocked everything off, the day is complete. You've won the day, hurrah, like you can, hang up your hat, close the computer, put your phone on airplane mode if you're like Candice, and know that you were successful because you defined what success was for that day. So my kind of tip in building your done list is to just keep it to three things. To have one thing be for you as a person, because again, you're the engine that powers your business. Two, one thing for your business. So if it's a project, if it's onboarding team member, whatever it may be. And then three, one thing for your team or your community, right? So getting out in there and mentoring a team member or just giving back or doing whatever it might be, operating off of a done list. So I don't know, Candice, have you ever used something like that? Because that's like been revolutionary for me.
I used to use just to-do lists. And then what I realized was that I would just have a to-do list that was like 6 pages long because I would just keep adding things to do. And a lot of times I would come up with the thing to do while I was potentially on a call with a client. So I'd be on a call with the client and be like, oh, that reminds me, I got to do that. Or, oh, I need to do this for them. Right. And I would just like write down all the things. But then what would happen, Kat, is at the end of the week, I would realize that this is just like all these pages of things to do and none of it was done because I wasn't blocking time in my calendar to actually take the actions.
Mm-hmm.
Because my calendar was filled up with meetings all day long. And if I was like in 8 hours of meetings, then I have zero time to actually work on my business or work on the projects that I know are going to propel me forward.
Mm-hmm.
So what I ended up doing is literally putting a block of time in my days and saying, okay, this is when I'm going to actually work on my to-do list. And so that would help me to get things done in a synchronized way because I wasn't allowing other people to hijack my time.
Yeah. That's the one thing that always got me with to-do lists was you have all of these things that you know you need to do, that you have to do, that you want to do, and yet you're not making any time for them to actually get done. And so it just
Yes.
remains this running list of things, you know?
And I think that you mentioned how important it is to kind of look at the bigger picture and see where it is that you're
Mm-hmm.
going. Because if you're just racking up things to do throughout the day because they're things that other people are asking of you or requiring of you, but you're not thinking about the brand that you're actually building over the next year to 3
Mm-hmm.
years, then you're likely missing out on really important, crucial pieces that will allow you to make that move.
Yeah. You get lost in the day-to-day, the weeds of like helping other people. Another like tip or hack that I shared in this office hours was if somebody asks you for help with something, right? Because that always comes up. Like we have our set schedules, but somebody will tap us on the shoulder, right? Or send us a message. Hey, can you help me with that? Can you help me with this? So my thing too is if I look at what my done list for the day is, and if I'm halfway through the day and I'm not halfway through my done list, I tell that person, thank you so much for asking. I don't have time right now, but I can make time on Thursday at this day or on Monday between this hour and this hour. Like, do either of those work for you? As a recovering people pleaser, that's been a huge learning for me, and that you don't have to say yes or help right away. Because if it derails you, it's going to end up derailing the person you try to help anyway, right?
Yeah, and it's not gonna feel good to you, and then there's gonna be some, like, awkwardness in that relationship because you feel like you are giving up something that you
Yeah.
care about to do something else, and so I think that's really important to have those boundaries, and I do that regularly, with my clients or with people who are asking for help. I'll just say, "Yeah, here's my availability," and I'll send them my calendar, and it might not be for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but they can get on my calendar.
Yeah.
Here it is. Here's the link. That's another tip actually is Kat and I both use
Mm-hmm.
Calendly, which helps us to not go back and forth with people about when we're going to meet with them if it comes to a consultation or a client meeting. Just like a link that we send people where they can click on a date and time that works with their schedule and ours. So we never have to have that conversation or waste time in that communication.
Yeah, that's huge. And the second thing that I have like recently, and by recently, I mean like in the last few months, become much more intentional with is by kind of thinking of my days of the week in terms of themes of types of activities or types of projects or even just types of meetings because you can read about how you accumulate drag and you waste time and you expend energy by switching from one type of task or a project to another. And it creates decision fatigue. It creates, it's not efficient to always be switching between all these different things. It's actually called switch tasking. And so one of the things that I keep in mind, we've shared this on the podcast before, Candice, but like we very much limit having meetings on Mondays. In fact, you are my only meeting on Monday when we plan for our podcast because I feel like we can show up and like be chill and still be creative. Tuesday's a get shit done day. Wednesday is a team meeting, midday check-in, any important communications I need to send out. Thursday's a big brainstorming day. Friday's for the money, right? Money reviews, target reviews, all that. Saturday's for errands. And then Sunday is just for whatever the hell I want it to be. So I think theming my days has also helped me work with that energy.
Yeah. Going back to the idea of feeling like you have to please people and be there immediately. Some of our clever crew is probably listening and thinking that that sounds really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's share a few tips on how we have been able to do that well with our clients and audience without like sacrificing our relationships with them. I'm thinking that one thing that helped me was framing. So immediately when I start working with a client, I will let them know, hey, I check my messages once a day, Monday through Friday. You can message me on the weekend. That's absolutely fine. I will see it on Monday.
Yeah.
And I answer within 24 hours, Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have the expectation of when they can hear from me. And then it's not a question mark in their mind like, oh, I haven't heard from Candice. I emailed her 2 hours ago. Yeah, it's probably going to be 24 hours. Unless you emailed me on Friday, then it's going to be likely on Monday.
Longer. Yeah.
And that's it. It's just like, that's just how it works. And that's going to allow me to be the best for my client. And then it's no one's taking it personal because I've framed it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the boundaries and the way that you make your schedule are never the issue. It's how are you communicating it? And the more proactive you can be, the better. I think another little like minor like psychological tip that I have for people is when you are telling somebody no, lead off with that. Be like, no, I'm not available at that time, but, right? Because everybody always is like, but where's the but, right? There's a but coming. We're more likely to remember what comes after the but than what comes before. So like rip off the Band-Aid. No, Candice, unfortunately, I'm not available at that time, but I have a lot of space on this Tuesday between 2 and 4 Eastern. Is there a time that we could connect in there to address your concern or address your need? And you giving them like concrete, specific, tangible times in which you can follow up, or even giving them two options, right? So we're very binary, we pick one or the other. That can help soften the blow of just using like the power of but when it comes to saying no, but making people feel like you're not saying no to them.
Yep. And the last thing that I'll say that's really helped me as an entrepreneur, and we talk about this all the time when it comes to my time, is making sure that I do something physical each day.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy, but going for a walk, doing yoga, going to Pilates, walking on the treadmill. Like it doesn't matter what it is to me. It's just doing something physical, and bonus if it's outdoors for me, because I also just enjoy the vitamin D. It's good for my vibe and my energy, and that is something that you might not be considering in, especially if you're working from home. You might just be sitting inside your house all day long, and I think it's really important to make it a priority to get outside and get moving in some way, whatever capacity makes sense for you.
Yeah. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this mini on scheduling and time management and productivity. If you have a follow-up question on this subject or want us to do a full episode on it, slide into our DMs on Instagram at Not Nice Clever.
Thanks for joining us on Not Nice, Clever.
Remember to follow our podcast wherever you listen to audio.
And if you found today's episode valuable, please share it with your friends.
No gatekeeping here. Remember, we love to see our clever crew grow.
Signing off, you're not so nice, but oh so clever besties that mean business.
See you soon.